I got a complicated relationship with you. A very toxic, sad relationship. You be making me so sad. Why do you be giving me so much pain?
This is episode 91 of the Battle of Ohio podcast. The Bengals and Browns are facing off this week for the 98th Battle of Ohio. And nobody cares. Nobody cares.
This game could have been so great. This game could have been like for all the marbles. It just, the Browns
We were hyping this game all year as potentially the final battle between the Bengals and Browns for the AFC North crown.
It could have been something special.
It almost happened. But, you know, the Bengals kind of spoiled that last week when they got a shocking win over the Kansas City Chiefs. And me personally, I'm not mad about it.
Would have beat the Steelers?
Well, yeah, it would have required some interesting. No. I think actually, it didn't matter.
If the
Bengals had lost,
and then we had to beat the Steelers.
I thought. Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, anyway, back to my intro. Okay, so I'm wrong about that. Thomas is right, but at least we have one person who knows what's going on. But anyway, as far as this game goes, there's very little left to play for. There's a little bit left to play for the Bengals, but like there's nothing left to play for the Browns. And it's probably going to be one of the most incredibly boring battles of Ohio that we've ever seen before. So like the 97th Battle of Ohio, there was so much hype, there was so much drama, and for Bengals fans, it was terrible. But, you know, at the end of the day, like, you know, the hype and the drama and the emotions and the caring and everything, that made it a good Battle of Ohio. This one's going to be a terrible one. But finally, the Steelers still need help from the Jacksonville Jaguars to get into the playoffs. Because why, Thomas?
They need help from Jacksonville?
Yeah.
You suck, Pittsburgh. Oh, that's hilarious. Who's Jacksonville playing?
Colts.
I'm laughing right now. Watch Jacksonville lose and the Steelers get to watch Jacksonville win. The Steelers go to the playoffs. Watch that happen. I'm gonna be sorry. They're like,
Welcome to the Battle of Ohio podcast, where we follow the revival of the historic rivalry between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Cleveland Browns.
Wait, are they need more than just Jacksonville to win? What else they need? They just need Jacksonville to win?
Yeah, if the Steelers win and the Jaguars win, then the Steelers are in the playoffs.
For real? Is that simple?
Yeah. Yeah, it's actually pretty simple. We'll talk about this more on the state of the AFC North. It's more complicated for the Ravens to get in the playoffs, but the Steelers can actually get in with just, you know, they win, the Jaguars win. But
go Ravens.
Go Ravens anyway. I like as many times as the Steelers can lose. I'm all on board with that.
Well, I mean, I kind of want to be right about this because I said the Ravens will lose every single game for the rest of the season, and I'm looking really good on that prediction.
Well,
one more loss to go. One more loss to go. Baltimore.
I said the Steelers were going to go 4-13, so I don't really, I think, have too much chance of being right on that.
You know, Tyler Huntley, man, he might make something happen. That might be the next quarterback for the Cleveland Browns next year.
But let's go ahead and save that for later. Save talk like that for later, because right now we need to get into previewing the reason why we have a podcast at all, and that is the Battle of Ohio. So let's talk about this game, Thomas. Are you excited?
Yeah, hell yeah! Case Keenum versus Brandon Allen, baby.
Yeah. See, there you go. So getting into the spirit of it.
Dearness Johnson versus who your back running back? Who's your third string running back?
Third string running back is Chris Evans, but you'll probably see Samaje Perine.
Okay, well there you go. Samaje Perine versus Dearness Johnson, baby. I actually like our backups better than your backups.
Oh yeah. You're well. Okay, so
I mean,
Okay,
the
so
talent, the talent's pretty even.
I think talent-wise, I think Brandon Allen is a more talented quarterback than Case Keenum, but I think
I
Case
agree.
Keenum is a steadier quarterback than Brandon Allen. So
Mm-hmm.
you'd probably give because steadiness is what's really important for a backup quarterback. So you probably
Mm-hmm.
give the advantage there to Case Keenum, and then like running back wise, I don't know, like. I would probably give it to Dearness Johnson, but
Mm-hmm.
I will say at the same time, like I I think Dearness Johnson sometimes gets a little overrated because of the big flashy games that he's had in Nick Chubb's stead,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think Samaje Perine gets enough credit for the fact that he just runs so hard.
Oh, he's good. He's a baller. He's a baller. I like him.
And then as far as backups on backup wide receivers, I think we got that like in spades. Like I mean, just because like our whole
Oh
wide
yeah.
receiver room is way ahead of the Browns, and
Oh yeah.
it's on the back end too. Like Stanley Morgan Jr., I'll put him up against any like fourth string wide receiver that the Browns have.
Sure, I'll put him against any first string receiver the Browns got for real. I mean, honestly, the Browns talent. The Browns have talent. It's not the talent. The problem isn't the talent; it's the function.
Yeah.
As far as this game goes, as far as previewing this game, uh, I'm not real with you. I'm like trying to figure out who's actually going to even play this game for the Browns or the Bengals for that matter.
Well, see, that's kind of what I'm wondering because right now it looks like I looked at the Browns injury report, and right now it looks like the guys who are going to be questionable game time decisions are Ronnie Harrison, Troy Hill, Kareem Hunt, John Johnson, David Njoku, Denzel Ward, and Greedy Williams. I'm a little surprised that I didn't see Myles Garrett on there.
None of those guys are going to play. None of those guys you mentioned are going to play because none of those guys have anything to prove at all. They just be out there risking injuries, so none of those guys are going to play. If they're questionable, they're probably not going to play.
That's good because I still have nightmares of Denzel Ward.
That was a beautiful interception.
That was not a beautiful interception. I'm so glad I deleted it.
I freaking hate you for doing that too. Cause like, okay, so like I had the perfect. That was probably the best play all year. Like honestly, at least I got that this year. At least I got that from this year.
So like what happened was I was trying to do this video series for my YouTube channel where I do like a game day vlog because I have season tickets to all the Bengals home games. So why the hell not make a vlog about it? Produce some extra content, get some people kind of like a inside look of what it's like, going to every single Bengals home game. And the problem is my phone just does not have the space on it to record all of that footage. So for my phone to even fucking work, like there was so by the end of that game there was so much storage used up on the phone I couldn't even send a text message. So I basically had to like pick and choose stuff to delete, and I just ended up deleting all of the like half of the videos from the first half of the Bengals game.
Anybody else shaking my head while they listen to this? Cause I am.
Yeah.
I hate you for that. We smoked y'all that game. We smoked y'all that game. That was fun. That was a very fun day for me. I was so happy that day. That was the happiest I've been all football season.
Well, you know what? That game was a turning point for the Browns because they didn't look very good.
Sucked ever since.
Any game, right? Haven't looked good a single game since, and wasn't really a turning point for the Bengals because the Bengals didn't start kind of turning themselves around until probably about the last. I'd say like the last 3, maybe 4 weeks if you count the San Francisco game because like halfway through the San Francisco game, save for the turnover, is when the Bengals really kind of started to turn that corner on the season. That Browns game was kind of the turning point of this team showing that maybe it's not ready to be a top level team, and then they figured out how to do it later on in the season. But
man, the crazy thing is how freaking close we were, though. That's the thing that I'm tripping on. Like you think about it, we were 1 first down away from beating the Raiders. We were literally 1 first down, 2 yards away from beating the Raiders, and that would have put us in first place. And then we were only 20 yards away from being the best team in football in their stadium. Like that hunts me at night. Like y'all like the thing is about the Bengals though, and I hear and then the thing is about the Bengals and Zach Taylor. Say what y'all want about Zach Taylor. Say what y'all want about Joe Burrow. They executed down the line when it was time to execute. Excuse me. The Browns didn't.
Well, when it mattered for sure, but
Kansas City.
You say you still have like the 20 yards against the Packers keeps you up at night. Well, Evan McPherson's missed field goal kind of keeps me up at night. And then there's the Jets game. It's just like, it's not the same because obviously the Browns like totally missed the playoffs this year. But like I'm sitting here as like a Bengals fan. One thing I wanted to talk about in this in talking about the Battle of Ohio that's coming up is the Bengals are not going to be taking this game all that much more seriously than the Browns. I mean, maybe a little bit because there is a few things left to play for, but the only thing that's really that big of a deal is probably the number 1 seed in the playoffs. And that's kind of a long shot. Basically, they would need the Chiefs and Titans to both lose. So the Broncos would have to beat the Chiefs, and the Texans would have to beat the Titans. Now, that's not entirely crazy for either of those teams. The Broncos always play the Chiefs tough, and the Texans already beat the Titans earlier this year. But the likelihood of both of those things happening is kind of slim.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll tell you this though.
And then the Bills would have to beat the Jets. That's a caveat, but they're probably going to beat the Jets. But
I mean, it's also week 18. Anything can happen. This last week, people are resting. There's a lot of games like this game. Mm-hmm. Nobody knows. Like literally anything can happen this week. Like I bet you the Chiefs and Titans are not going to be resting anybody. The Browns had this running back named Harrison. He ran for 300 yards the last week of the season. True story. Never did anything else during his career. Freaking Josh Cribbs that same game broke the record for most kickoff returns in a career. I had 2 kickoff returns in one game. Yeah. True story. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs versus Browns. What was it, 2010, I think it was? What year was that? Anyway, yeah. I don't know. James Harrison, I think his name was. And then his career ended.
There was a Browns player named James. There was a Browns running back
something
named
Harrison.
James Harrison.
Something Harrison. Wait, hold on. Let me look this up. I'll tell you exactly what it was. You go ahead and keep talking, and I'm going to look this game up.
All right. So the other notable part about the Bengals and Browns game this week, from the Bengals' perspective, is they just happened, Thomas, to have a massive COVID outbreak at the perfect fucking time. I don't know if they intended this, if they had a COVID party, they all got together, or maybe they found the team doctors and they're like, oh, I have COVID, I must now be tested. And then got the COVID test and everything like that. Because the thing is, these guys who went on the COVID list are Von Bell, Akeem Davis-Gaither, Jordan Evans, Trey Hendrickson, B.J. Hill, Trey Hopkins, Joe Mixon, Larry Ogunjobi, and Quentin Spain. And all those guys have COVID. That means that they are guaranteed that they have immunity. They have COVID immunity for the next, 90 days or something like that. So they are not going to have issues with COVID through the rest of the playoffs.
Yep.
If only somebody could go give Joe Burrow COVID.
That's why I said that last podcast. Like, yeah, the best time to get COVID would be right now. By the way, I found the game. Josh Cribbs had that game. It was 2000. How come I tell me the year? But anyway, regardless, it was 2009. Browns versus Chiefs in Week 15. Jameer Harrison rushed for 286 yards and 3 touchdowns. God damn. And Josh Cribbs had returned 2 kickoff returns of 100 yards or more. Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah, you know the Browns' record was that year? 6-10.
Oh. Well, I would have guessed something like that because
I should let you guess.
I probably would have guessed 6-10 because there was a stretch there for the Browns where they were either having like a 5-11 or 6-10 record every fucking year.
Yeah, it's about a 20-year stretch. Oh wait, hold up. I gave him too many wins. I'm sorry. That was.
What was it?
Here, let me tell you. I don't know. Here, what year was that? What did I say the year was? That was 2009. Why did they make this so hard to figure out? Cause that game was 2000. That's 2009. The Browns' record in 2009, 2010 would be the year.
5-11.
5-11. There you go. They did go on winning streak. They went on like a 4-game winning streak at the end of this year, something crazy like that. 3-game winning streak. They would have Mangini, and I don't think they should have fired Mangini. I think that was a mistake.
I also felt like that was kind of a weird decision, but it kind of fell in line with everything the Browns kind of do. They fire people too early and they move on too early. Like
that's my whole point about all this Baker Mayfield drama that I'm getting at. And that's what scares the hell out of me, because I know what's coming next. The writing's on the wall. The comment's coming. It's like, don't look up. The comment is coming.
So, you want to give me a bit of a rundown about everything that's been happening with Baker Mayfield the last, let's call it week.
All right, where do I start with this? Okay, I'm gonna put my laptop down right there. Oh, let me just can I just exhale for like, this is craziness what's going on with the Browns fan base. Like, first of all, let me say this. I can say this for 100. I know I can. I'm really certain about this statement, and you might disagree with me on this statement, but what I learned from this is that there is no fan base in sports that's on Twitter like the Browns fan base is. Like, there is no fan base in sports that's on Twitter like the Browns fan base is. Like, the Browns fan base is just like, they just live on Twitter, and I'm one of those people. Like, the Browns Twitter is crazy. I say that because even Baker Mayfield is a part of Browns Twitter. So, okay. All right, let me exhale for a second. So, for those of y'all who don't know, because there's a lot of Bengals fans who probably oblivious to like what's happening. Basically, Baker Mayfield shut down for the season after the game against the Steelers. Probably shouldn't play in the Steelers game. Whatever, he prepped for the game, whatever. I don't care. Played in the game. After the game, Baker Mayfield, which was very bizarre, it was something that we should probably highlight more. He had his agent with him in a press conference. And that was weird.
Why?
I know. Like, why are you doing a press conference with your agent? Like, okay.
I don't know.
But like, besides that bizarre BS, he decided he was gonna get surgery and everything. And after that, Mary Kay Cabman published a story where she said that Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski got to resolve their differences if they want things to work next year. Baker Mayfield had a tweet where he said that's clickbait and it's fake news, pretty much, whatever. Not going down a road. But he said it's clickbait. He said that she was wrong and that they're making up stories, and me and Kevin Stefanski have a good relationship. And Kevin Stefanski later came out and said that him and Baker have a good relationship with each other. But since when that happened, when Baker Mayfield had a statement, you had Browns quarterback and former Browns players coming out like they're the freaking Avengers or it's freaking Spider-Man. Like, I don't like Mary Kay Cabman too, said Brandon Weeden. Like, Brandon Weeden, where the hell you come from? What the hell?
And then Deshaun Kaiser too.
Yeah, like, wait, hold on. Just Deshaun Kaiser, you threw more picks than Tom Brady threw in his entire career in your one season. So, like, shut the hell up, Deshaun. But, like, I mean, like, but at the same time, like, I'm not Johnny Manziel up here tweeting interesting. Then you got Trevor Bauer. Like, shut up, Trevor. Like, where you come from, Trevor? Like, wow, you just want to be a part of this? Like what?
Wait.
Like Trevor Bauer, the pitcher for the who used to pitch for the Reds. Y'all should know who Trevor Bauer is. He won a Cy Young for the Reds. So yeah, he just comes in like, yeah, you can say that, but all media like, shut the fuck up, Trevor. Shut the hell up, Trevor. I just want to say shut the hell up, Trevor, because anytime I can tell Trevor Bauer shut the hell up, I will. But the whole point is that. The whole point is that Brown's Twitter now, the entire Brown, like this is happening in real time right now. Right now, as we speak, there is the Browns chat room on Twitter where they're literally debating each other about whose side you take, Baker Mayfield's or the media. Like, this is legit happening in real time. Like, people are literally at war with each other, debating on who to blame. This is the level of dysfunction for this team. This team's dysfunction is so bad that it's causing a dysfunctional fan base. God help us. So anyway, Kyle, my conclusion is this. I want to say the same thing I said last week. I think it's the last. We've seen Baker play his last game as a Cleveland Brown. And I think the reason why I say that is because there's reports out there that Baker Mayfield is going to request a trade. I think that's probably going to happen. And there's reports out there that him and Kevin Stanley aren't getting along. There's reports about he's attacking the media, all this stuff. And I'm not. I get Baker. Like I don't have any relationship with American Cabin. I don't have any relationship with Cleveland.com. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't care what's that if they can call up the media. I really don't care. I just want y'all to win. I don't care. My biggest problem is why is the media getting these leaks in the first place? And that's what I'm tripping on. Like, why? Who is telling this stuff to the media? Is it who is leaking this information? Like, this is where the dysfunction starts with me because the problem is the one thing that all these quarterbacks are out here saying, hey, that there's a level of dysfunction with the Cleveland Browns and the media that there's not in other cities, but there is in Cleveland. That tells me that there's something up top. There's somebody and there's people in the Browns organization who are leaking information because you don't hear these same stories with other fan bases. This is only a Cleveland thing. The only fan base that have drama this stupid is Jacksonville. That's it. It's the Browns in Jacksonville. That's it. I mean, the Raiders have some drama like this year, but like it's not a continuous thing like Jacksonville and Cleveland. This is an every year thing for the Browns. So I kind of side with Baker Mayfield on this. Honestly, I really do, because I feel like that there is probably a level of dysfunction that's going on that we don't know about right now. And I'm not saying that he should be out here attacking the media. I'm not saying that he should be out here attacking people who are saying that he made bad decisions and stuff. And I'm not saying that he should be attacking. He should probably just have his surgery and just be quiet because he's only going to cost himself money and for his other team. Like just chill, Baker. Just chill. I'm rooting for you. I promise you. Just relax. Just relax, please. But it's just the level of dysfunction here, man. It's tiring. Because it's not even about football no more. Like, it's not even about football. Like who actually talked about the football game this week when they talked about the Cleveland Browns? I hope y'all beat us.
Well, you see, that is I think the thing. From the perspective of Bengals fans, obviously want to win this game because, I mean, just if anything, from my perspective, 11-6 sounds better than 10-7, just straight up. And then on top of that, there's it's the number 3 seed versus the number 4 seed. Is you're guaranteed. I think guaranteed the number 3 seed if you win. Guaranteed basically the number 4 seed if you lose. And then there's also the possibility of going and getting the 2 seed, and then going and getting the 1 seed. But like I said, that would require the Houston Texans beating the Tennessee Titans and the What was the other one? Broncos. The Broncos. It would require the Houston Texans beating Tennessee Titans and the Denver Broncos beating the Kansas City Chiefs. So we're not exactly like, we need to like throw all our, throw everything in, like all our apples in one basket on this kind of thing. It's like, it's a very unlikely scenario. So I don't know. But at the same time, be nice to win. Be nice if we, could actually beat the Browns because we haven't done it in a while. Baker Mayfield is going to hang on to, because he's having season-ending shoulder surgery, so we're not going to see him this week. So he's going to hang on to that undefeated record against the Bengals, which is annoying. But at least we have at least we have the chance to go beat the Cleveland Browns franchise this week. And it might have to be through Brandon Allen and Samaje Perine, but those two guys have proven to be, pretty capable. Like Brandon Allen, we won a few games with him last year after Joe Burrow went down. Well, 2 games. But point is, Brandon Allen proved he's a capable backup last year. And Samaje Perine has been used plenty this year. Joe Mixon's not going to be used, but I mean, honestly, like, given the current state of the Cleveland Browns roster and their current mentality and all that, and the fact that half of them are probably just ready to go off on vacation now and probably don't even really want to be playing in this game, makes me kind of think that, the Bengals have, like regardless of who the Bengals put out there, they should have a pretty good shot, because at the very least, those guys are going to be more motivated than the guys on the other side.
Brandon Allen's trying to stay undefeated against the Browns.
Is Brandon Allen?
Yeah. Yep.
Was that one game? Was that one game he played in Denver? Was that against the Browns?
Yep.
Oh well, there you go then.
Yep. You know what's crazy about it though. And like, first of all, I want to ask you, before I say what I want to say, I want to ask you, what is your opinion on this whole Baker Mayfield thing? And I'm gonna real with you, because my thing is that I just. When I look at this, whole situation, it just frustrates me, because I just think that, and I kind of said it on the last podcast. That's why I'm kind of like holding my tongue about this podcast. Is that I just think that this level of dysfunction isn't Baker Mayfield's fault. I think it's indicative of the Cleveland Browns organization as a whole. And I think the person that we need to point a finger at isn't our quarterback. It needs to be the ownership. I feel like the ownership is not running a winning operation. But when I look at this whole Baker Mayfield thing, is that I don't think that Baker Mayfield is a bad quarterback. I keep on saying that. I don't think that you give your franchise quarterback a fair shot when you making him play the season with a torn labrum. I don't think that that's fair. I just don't think that's fair. Like, you're literally playing the entire season with your one hand behind your back. I don't care if the medical staff cleared you or not. The guy clearly has tape on his arm. The guy clearly looks hurt. The guy clearly is in pain. I don't understand why this is hard to figure out. That there was a problem with health for Baker Mayfield, and it affected his play. And I just really think that the dude threw 30 touchdowns and 90 interceptions when you count the playoff stats last year. He looked really good in the first playoff game. He didn't really look bad against the Chiefs last year. So where did all that talent go? Then just like, don't y'all think that it just makes sense that you tear your labrum and your production goes down? And I'm just going back on this. Like, that wasn't a good organizational decision to let him play. But what do you think of this whole Baker Mayfield drama and this whole Baker Mayfield situation? From an outside perspective, I'm heard a million Browns fans' opinion. I want to hear your opinion as a Bengals fan.
So my opinion on what specifically? Like on Baker Mayfield's
the whole
drama,
totality
or
of the thing. The whole totality of the situation.
Just on Baker Mayfield in general?
Baker Mayfield's drama and what you think the Browns should do. And because you heard me, I think the Browns should, if I'm the Browns, I think they should keep Baker Mayfield running back next year, give him a second shot. I don't think they will do that. But what do you think the Browns should do? What do you think Baker Mayfield should do?
No, I totally think that Baker Mayfield, what he should do, man, I don't know. It depends on how he feels about the situation. I mean, like, if he thinks he's better off somewhere else, then he should, follow that. He should follow that line of thinking and do what he does. But from the Browns' perspective, I think the Browns absolutely should do whatever they can to hold on to Baker Mayfield at least for one more year. Give him a year to rest up and heal up, and maybe I've seen a lot of arguments one way or the other. Maybe his poor play this season was entirely because of his shoulder issue. Maybe maybe it wasn't, because I've seen people make some good points that people play through injuries all the time and don't necessarily play that badly. So I'm not sure, but because you're not sure and you have him under contract next year at a fairly reasonable price for a franchise quarterback, that fifth-year option is, because you have that, and because there's not really any better options, unless, like you've said on this podcast before, unless you go get Russell Wilson or you go get Aaron Rodgers or something insane like that. But other than that, I mean, there's nobody in the draft who is going to, like, I think, be like the next big thing in Cleveland. I mean, it's going to be one of the things. If you go draft a quarterback, he's going to be a guy who's going to be like a bridge quarterback till, you know, something better comes along. And at that point, you might as well just keep around Baker Mayfield for another year just to see what he's got. It's not like his fifth-year option is going to eat up, like, you know, the Browns' ability to do things. You know, I mean, honestly, you might be better off getting rid of Case Keenum or something like that. But I mean, there's other things you could do. You could always go trade for Kirk Cousins. You know, I know the Vikings would probably like to offload his contract, and you know, Kevin Stefanski's got familiarity with Kirk Cousins and all that, and you know, the Vikings for all of everything. Now that might not be the smartest thing for the Vikings because, like, Mike Zimmer, if he doesn't get fired, he's insanely on the hot seat. So I can't see him thinking, oh, it's a great idea to risk my entire career on this Baker Mayfield guy who everything I've heard about him so far is that he just doesn't have it. So why would I don't know why Mike Zimmer would, you know, think that that's a good idea to make that trade. But that might be a decent direction for the Browns to go if they don't go with Baker Mayfield. But probably the easiest, smartest decision, I think, for the Browns to make here, just stick with Baker Mayfield next year unless some insane opportunity presents itself. Don't go draft a guy. Don't go, you know, making dumb reactionary decisions like that. Just, you know, give Baker Mayfield another year. He's shown some flashes that he can be a great franchise quarterback. And while he's shown some issues too, it's like, you know, if he can work through those issues, it's kind of like when Andy Dalton was the quarterback in Cincinnati. It's like I always felt like if the Bengals can do a good job of building a team around Andy Dalton, they could go theoretically win a Super Bowl with him. Hell, they got close in 2015, and it hadn't been for Andy Dalton breaking his thumb or that craziness that happened against the Steelers at the end of that game. I feel like the Bengals... I don't know if the Bengals would have won the Super Bowl that year, but I feel like they could have at least made a run with Andy Dalton playing in MVP form.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, here go a question. You're gonna love this question. If Andy Dalton played this season with this Browns team, would they have a better record than they have now? I think so.
Well, of course. I mean, you're saying if Andy Dalton was the starter from week 1 to week 18?
Yes.
Yeah, of course I do. Because I mean, are we just assuming Andy Dalton in the state of health that Andy Dalton's been in all year in Chicago, not, you know, Baker Mayfield's torn labrum issue?
No, if he's just fully healthy.
If he's just fully healthy, then yeah, absolutely. I feel like any decent quarterback would be better than like a 25% Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, and see, but that's the other thing, though. Is like, this is the other thing that really frustrates me about this whole Baker Mayfield debate, is that I really do think that there has to be the element of the conversation of, hey, this guy was actually seriously hurt. And I hear these cliches like, oh, yeah, you're a football player, so you got to, you know, you out there and feel like you're all hurt. Still got a torn labrum. That's it obviously affected his mechanics. It obviously, it was blatantly obvious that it affected his mechanics. And I do think it is a question you got to have because I guarantee you, Kyle, man, I'm telling you, man, I bet you Sean Payton is probably sitting there looking at his chops at Baker Mayfield right now like, man, that kid with that arm, I really do think...
Sure. He did the same thing with Drew Brees. He had Drew Brees who was coming in with a massive shoulder injury, and, you know, he turned that guy's career around. And
yeah, he could too. Sean Payton could. I bet you Sean Payton or even Pete Carroll, they're probably like, man, I could do something with this kid. Like, there's probably a couple coaches in the league that are probably looking at their quarterback situation and probably trying to figure out what the Browns are going to do with Baker Mayfield and probably thinking they could take a shot at him. Because Baker Mayfield's a playoff quarterback. So they're like, this kid, you know, his first playoff game took 3 touchdowns and beat the Steelers and almost beat the Chiefs in the second round. Like, maybe if we put him in our organization and we discipline him, maybe we could turn them around because you did. I guarantee you, man. There's some people who probably looking at like and like there is a possibility. You talk about Minnesota. You know, if Minnesota don't have any other options, I can see them taking a shot at Baker Mayfield. I can see it. I can legit see it.
I don't know about Pete Carroll because I think Pete Carroll might be nearing the end of his rope in Seattle, and so I think what he's probably going to want to do, I think he's probably going to want to go get like a young, promising like developmental quarterback so that he can justify sticking around in Seattle as being like, well, look, we've got the future right here. You don't want to get rid of the head coach because then you might stunt the development of that guy. I don't think he's gonna want to go with Baker Mayfield because wherever Baker Mayfield goes next, if not Cleveland, then you're gonna. And this is part of my argument for Cleveland keeping him around for another year. But you're gonna find out pretty quickly what you got with Baker Mayfield next year. Even if he tears his labrum again, then you're gonna know. Well, this dude's injury prone. Better get him out of here. But if he turns it around, then you've got a pretty good quarterback. If not, then Baker Mayfield's going to have a rough rest of his career.
I think it depends on the situation that Baker goes to, but I think Baker Mayfield is going to. I think that wherever he goes, if he goes somewhere where he got to battle for the quarterback position, I think he'll win. Because I honestly don't think that he's as bad as people say he is. Like, there's actually only a handful of quarterbacks. A healthy Baker Mayfield. There's only a handful of quarterbacks that I take over him. And like that was the whole argument about Baker Mayfield. Like, oh, he's good, but he's not on a Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers level. Like, yeah, okay, fine. But in reality there's only like 3 or 4 of those quarterbacks in the freaking NFL in the first place.
Or Joe Burrow.
So fine, Joe Burrow, right? So look. All right. So look, man. If I'm a team, right, and I'm thinking, because if I might be realistic, I'm saying this because of Cleveland, because you always hate what you have, you always glamorify over other people. If I'm a team who's starving for a quarterback, there's a lot of starving teams for quarterbacks right now. One team starving for a quarterback, I don't know, like Denver, right? I'm in Denver, right? And I'm thinking, we did this well with Teddy Bridgewater. Okay, healthy Baker Mayfield. He did this last year. He got a good arm, and he could play action and roll. His price tag's probably not that high. Why not take a shot at him? I guarantee you Denver might take a swing at him. Like, yeah, let's take a swing at him. We draft the quarterback, develop him. But let's take a swing at Baker Mayfield and see what happens. Because this kid is ready to go. He's playoff experience. And let's put him in a system. Let's discipline him. Let's home back these commercials and let's see what happens. I can see that happening. And I can see Baker Mayfield succeeding in a situation like Denver. I can see him succeeding in a situation like New Orleans. Texas, I think Texas will have a better record than they have right now, but I don't think he'll take off. But I can see him going to those situations because there are plenty of teams out there like that. I can even see him going to the Steelers. And I know I say that, Steelers fans laughing at me, oh, we don't want him. Oh. Yeah, but I'm not real. Y'all, let's talk about Aaron Rodgers. I ain't find a better quarterback situation than Baker. I think Mike Tomlin could put Baker Mayfield in a situation. He have Chase Claypool to throw to. Yeah. I think there's plenty of teams out there who would take a shot at Baker Mayfield. And I think he will be a starter for a team next year if it's not the Cleveland Browns. I think that's a surefire thing that's going to happen. And all these people saying, oh, yeah, Baker Mayfield's next Johnny Manziel. Oh, yeah, Johnny Baker is like, all right. Okay.
Yeah.
And so if I'm Baker, I'm leaving Cleveland ASAP. Like if I'm Baker, I'm out of here.
Well,
and I'm a Browns fan, but if I'm Baker, I'm out of here.
That's fair. Like I said, I didn't really want to touch the whole what do I do if I'm Baker Mayfield thing. But if I'm the Browns, I'd love to keep Baker around for another year. Like I said, just because you already have him under contract, you've already kind of built this team around him, and you don't know exactly what. I mean, you have a pretty good idea of who Baker Mayfield is. But the thing is, that's part of the enticing part. Baker Mayfield's capable of being a really good quarterback. And you know that, he was looking pretty damn good this year until his arm exploded against Arizona. So
yeah. Well, I mean, the other thing is that, and because me and you said this, and I bet you somebody else had this conversation too, is that if Josh Allen A lot of people say Josh Allen would be better prophet than Baker Mayfield. And Josh Allen, like, yeah, I'm not going to argue that Josh Allen is a worse player than Baker Mayfield. But my argument always is, and the same argument that you have, is that Josh Allen would have not been successful in Cleveland because we believe the level of his function in Cleveland would not have allowed Josh Allen to develop into the quarterback that he became. Buffalo put Josh Allen in a great situation where he succeeded, and they put him in a great situation where he developed, and they were patient with him. I don't think the Browns would have been patient with him. That's why they drafted Baker Mayfield, because they thought that they could get a quarterback who could come in and just be ready and handle a level of dysfunction. That's literally one of the reasons why they drafted Baker Mayfield. That's one of the things that they liked about him. They was like, this guy can handle the level of dysfunction that's going to come with this team. And I just think that's ironic. So I think that there's teams that are having these same conversations, and general managers who want to have these serious conversations. Like you said, there's a level of you know who he is, but there's a lot of people out here who are going to be, there's a lot of desperate general managers whose jobs are on the line, who don't have a lot of options, and they don't give a damn what the media say. They don't give a damn what the fans say, and they don't give a damn what these idiotic people say. But when they sit there and think, the last time he was healthy, his stats were this, I'm going to take a swing at it. And I guarantee you, somebody's going to take a swing at it. They don't give a damn what y'all saying, because like 90% of things that everybody's saying is just something they heard on television anyway. They just rinse, recycle, and repeat. But I'm telling y'all right now, I seen this guy at his peak. I seen this guy get hot. I seen it with my own two eyes. He got a cannon for an arm. He's fiery, and when he gets in the zone, he can be extremely accurate. And if he put in the right situation at the right time, he can have a long career. And people in Cleveland will regret getting rid of him. Sucks to be a Browns fan. I'm not even joking. I'm not like laughing about it. It's not even like a joke or anything. I'm being dead serious. I don't want y'all to feel sorry for me or anything. I'm just going to be 100 with y'all. This is just 100. It fucking sucks being a Browns fan.
A lot of losing.
A lot of losing.
Losing.
A lot of dysfunction. That's the thing. That's the most tiring thing. They can't even lose. It's just dysfunction. Because honestly, I think talent-wise, we got just as much, if not more, talent than y'all. It's just dysfunction. 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 And Hasmus.
You know, Thomas, for years, I was the guy, because I mean, like, I'm sure you've heard it, Thomas. Like, you know,
you're right. You're right, though. You're 100% right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm sure you've heard it over the years. Like, you know, the Browns, every once in a while, they'll, like, make some crazy moves in the offseason. Like, over the last 10 years or so, they'll, like, make some crazy moves in the offseason, and then they'll suddenly become, like, the media darling, and, like, every talking head on the planet will be like, the Browns are my pick to be, like, a dark horse. Like they're cute picking the Browns because they got a bunch of talented players on there. And for years, I always felt like I was the only sane one in the room trying to talk out and saying, like, you know, guys, it's not just about talent. The Browns have never really been a team. I mean, there have been a few years where they've really lacked talent. But for the most part, it's never been purely an issue of lack of talent for the Browns. It's been the fact that this organization just does not function on, like, you know, on a level where you can actually build off of anything. And so, like, that's why when the Browns hired Kevin Stefanski, I was terrified, because I thought Kevin Stefanski would be the kind of guy who comes in and, like, squashes all the drama. And, you know, he's kind of got, like, that Mike Zimmer, like, fucking stare about him, where it's like, you know, he can squash all that shit. But, God, I'll be damned, the Cleveland Browns drama is transcending even him.
But you know, the crazy thing is, because like I said, dysfunction is going to the fan base. The fan base is dysfunctional. Because there's people in the fan base that want Kevin Stefanski fired. I'm like, the dude won a freaking coach of the year his first year as a head coach.
Yeah, and now it's his second year. Like,
and that's the other thing. Baker Mayfield broke the rookie touchdown record his first year as a quarterback. If y'all can't make these guys work, who's going to work?
Right.
Like, y'all ever think about that? And then like this fan base, man. Like I think our fan base is just because like, and I say like I really do think our. And I know that's crazy. Like how can a fan base have an impact on a team? Well, when an entire football team's on Twitter, and like I said, it's this fan base have this engagement level on Twitter that is just insane. But I think the craziest thing about it is that the players be engaging with the fans on Twitter. The players have relationships with the fans on Twitter like no other team in the NFL right now. I mean, I bet you there's other players on other NFL teams who have relationship with fans like ours do. But it is just ridiculous. It's funny that we made fun of the Steelers for having their players on TikTok when our players are literally tweeting their dirty laundry on Twitter. Like literally, and they're retweeting. Like you literally had people tweeting about how bad Baker was playing during the Packers game, and then you had players retweeting who were sick from COVID. Was like, yeah, we need to get a quarterback. Like, what the hell? What the hell are y'all tweeting about y'all? Why y'all bad mouthing your quarterback on Twitter during the game? This is dysfunction on a whole other level, man. And then, like, you know, how, like, even, like you say, even Kevin Stefanski can't control this, man. It goes back. I cannot get out of my head what McDaniel said to the Browns right before. And I thought about this. I thought about this. And I remember that when they were trying to pick their coaches between McDaniels and Kevin Stefanski, and the one thing that they didn't like, they were all about McDaniels until he came in and told them something they didn't want to hear. He told Haslam and D. Haslam that they are running a loser operation and they have to rearrange everything to make it a winner operation, because the way that they run things with the Cleveland Browns organization is not a winning operation. You got to clean out house from the top bottom and make sure that this thing is clean and there are no leaks and there are no problems, because it's not a winning organization. And they didn't like that. So they went with Kevin Stefanski. And not saying that Kevin Stefanski was a bad choice. I'm just saying both are true. McDaniels was right. There are a lot of problems with the organization. Until y'all fix this dysfunction, the Browns would not be a good team.
And there you have it. But, Thomas, I think we've spent long enough
time talking about that.
To wrap it up,
talking about it.
To wrap it up, the 98th Battle of Ohio between the Bengals and Browns. Not really a whole lot at stake here, other than like some theoretical things that could maybe happen if either team wins this game.
I hope y'all win. I'd be so mad if we win. I'd be so mad if we win. If we win, it'll feel like a loss. Yeah. My favorite term. My favorite term now. We won, but it felt like a loss.
Except I feel like most of the time that you've heard that, this would be a more justifiable way to like actually say that, because like you actually physically lost something, which is draft positioning, as opposed to some concept. like normally when you bring that up, it's other Browns fans being like, oh well, we won the game but we didn't win it decisively, therefore it feels like a loss, or like they almost came back at the end, therefore it feels like a loss. But in this case, you're actually fucking losing something, so it's a little more accurate this time around. But hey guys, I need to take a second to tell you about NordVPN real quick. I'm sure you've all heard about it because they're everywhere, and it's for a good reason. This is the absolute best, sleekest, and easiest to use VPN out there. Trust me, I've used a few different VPN services for various reasons, and this is the one that I settled on because honestly, it's like I said, it's the sleekest and easiest to use. It takes 10 seconds to just go get it set up, get connected, and get yourself on a new server somewhere around the world, and then you have access to all of these regionally blocked things. And in addition to that, I personally get a little weirded out by everyone with the basic knowledge of systems and hacking having access to my information. So it's really nice to have a kind of a buffer between that too. There's also a wide world of regionally blocked content out there that's the only reason you're not able to access it is because you live in a certain country where this stuff isn't available. So one service I really like is called NFL Game Pass International. It's meant for the international community. It's not available in the United States, but if you're a United States citizen and you use NordVPN to go connect to, I usually use the Ireland or the Brazil server, and suddenly I'm connected and I'm able to watch all these games. You can use basically any country where the service is actually available. Then I pull up the broadcast, sit back, watch the game. Any game. They have all of the NFL games throughout the entire season on this service. And then you also get access to all the normal NFL Game Pass stuff too. So, replays, all 22, the kind of stuff that's, some people just enjoy having NFL Game Pass for in the first place. I do exactly that every Monday and Thursday night when we do our live streams, where me and Thomas make our predictions or talk about the predictions that we made. We do it during the Monday night and Thursday night games where we're watching the game and reacting. And the way that I have access to that is I have an NFL Game Pass International. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to leave a link down below in the description. And if you go click that link, it'll take you to NordVPN's website, and it'll automatically get you 69% off your first 3 months for free. That's only $3.67 a month, guys. For all the wide world of access and protection that VPNs give you, I think you can spare $3.67 a month. To me, that's a really good deal. And not only, if you go do that, it helps support our channel, and like I said, helps you guys get access to the best VPN network out there. Seriously, I really recommend it. So go down on the link in that description and get 69% off your first 3 months of NordVPN for free. But anyway, let's go ahead and move on to the state of the AFC North, because we're already approaching about 50 minutes here, and luckily, we don't have any Fantasy League stuff to talk about this week, because obviously the Fantasy League is now over. Congratulations to Jordan Heiser for winning. So the only segment we have left for this podcast to do is the state of the AFC North. So we talked about a little bit at the top of the show. The Ravens and Steelers are currently technically still able to make the playoffs. Mm. However, for the Steelers right now, it's a 7% chance to make the playoffs, because they would have to win and the Jaguars would have to beat the Colts. And the Raiders and Chargers would have to not tie. So like if the Jaguars beat the Colts, then in theory, Thomas, and this is nuts, but in theory, the Chargers and the Raiders could come out on Sunday Night Football, shake hands in the middle of the field, and agree to just kneel the ball 60 times each.
I'm rooting for that.
Then they would tie the game, and then they would both make the playoffs, and the Steelers would be out.
Like, why don't they just do that? Like, please.
Can you imagine how many excuses Roger Goodell would find to find them for that?
Dude, but on the low, would you be mad? Like, I'm really rooting for that tie. Honestly, I'm rooting for a really good game and it go overtime. And them have a really good overtime match, and then we're like, all right, let's put it. Like, if it's 5 minutes of overtime, and they're like, we should go for the win. Like, no, coach, put it back up there. Who cares? Let's tie.
You know what I'm rooting for? I'm rooting for a really, really good, hard-fought, competitive game, and it's tied the whole way, and in every single time where one of these teams could potentially take a lead at the very end, they kind of do some sort of bad acting where they oh, I didn't mean to throw it into the stands, and then they accidentally turn the ball over on downs. The other team drives 90 yards down the field, and then they start accidentally throwing it in the stands.
Field goal, missing the field goal. All right, this field goal to make the playoffs. Ah, he missed it.
Oh, no, it's leg cramps. Oh, ouch, my leg.
It'd be like that Buffalo Wild Wings commercial. Hey, can we put the game? I want to see the game is really good. I want to see the overtime. Okay, we go overtime.
Right. So that would be a nightmare scenario for the Pittsburgh Steelers, because in theory they would win. It'd be hilarious for us, but for them, it'd be they did all this work. They got lucky with the Jaguars beating the Colts, and all they need now is for either the Chargers or the Raiders to win, and then they get into the playoffs. But then the Chargers and the Raiders, actually, you know what? I just thought about it, Thomas. But if if it works out this way, I think in theory, I think that means that the Pittsburgh Steelers would be the team that makes the playoffs, and the Chargers and Raiders would just straight up not have a chance to make the playoffs unless they both tied and then both got in. So, in theory, couldn't that be just what they decide to do? Couldn't they just be like, okay, so if no matter who wins here, we're both missing the playoffs. But if we agree to kneel, then we both make the playoffs.
You know what though? I kind of hope they do it like more discreetly, like when teams are tanking, but they're not admitting that they're tanking, but they're totally tanking.
Well, like I said, you have guys, oh no, I accidentally throw it into the stands. That's about as discreet as you're gonna get with like actually throwing the game.
Like, aren't you like not secretly wishing that happens?
Secretly, I'm actively, openly.
I said
admitting
not secretly. I said not secretly. I said not secretly. I put not in front of that secret. I'm like totally not secretly wishing that happened. Don't find me, Roger Grill. You don't pay me.
So, the Ravens, if they beat the Steelers and the Colts lose to the Jaguars, then they have a little bit of a. They also need the Dolphins to lose to the Patriots. So that's an extra caveat that the Steelers don't need. And then as far as the Chargers-Raiders game goes, they just need the Raiders to straight up win. It's not like the Steelers who would get in regardless of who wins unless they tie.
Oh yeah, the Ravens are starting the future quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, Tyler Huntley.
Well, that is one possible idea, but I guess my thought process is, how would you go get Tyler Huntley? Like, I mean, would you have to like trade Baker Mayfield and then use those picks to trade for Tyler Huntley, or could you do like an NBA style like 3-team trade?
Oh, he's a free agent next year. You just sign him.
Oh, okay. Well, never mind then.
Hey, Tyler Huntley will be the starting quarterback for the Browns. No, okay. I'm going to the Saints. Fuck you, Baker. Sean Payton, here I come.
Hey, you never know. Sean Payton could be still on board the Taysom Hill. Sorry, I couldn't finish that one.
That's great. Thank God we got the Cavs. Who are winning right now, by the way. Go Cavs.
Well, that's nice. I'm glad the Cavs are winning.
Yeah, dude.
I was doing the playoff predictors with my son earlier today, and they have NBA predictors, which, by the way, is just way more complicated because there's so many more games that you would have to deal with.
Yeah.
And so I accidentally clicked onto that at one point, and he's like, "Who's your favorite basketball team?" And I'm like, "Son, that is not an okay question to ask."
Dude, we're for the Cavs. Seriously, become a Cavs fan. Like the Cavs are a very fun team.
I will not be a fan of any NBA team. I refuse. The NBA.
The Cavs are gonna be good for a long time.
The NBA is ridiculous. I refuse to support the NBA until they right the wrong that they made. And Thomas, once they right the wrong that they made, then my team's back. So
that's gonna be very soon. That's probably gonna be within. Realistically, I give it 10 years, but I can see it happening in 5 years. That's what
people said. That's what people said 10 years ago.
Well, yeah, but 10 years ago, Adam Silver wasn't the coach, wasn't the commissioner. I think there is serious movement on getting Seattle a team, but there's like a lot of NBA players. It's coming. Seattle's gonna get their team back. It's overdue. It should have been happening, but I think it's coming. It's probably one of the It's coming. If you watch basketball, you know it's coming. It's not, but go on, man. You become a Cavs fan, man. The Cavs are fun. Why not?
I cannot, in all good conscience, root for a team from Cleveland. Just can't do it.
Your dad does it.
I constantly give him shit about it too. I'm like, how could you? How could you? You remember what they did to Paul Brown?
I root for y'all soccer team.
Hell, I think my dad was alive when that happened. When Paul Brown got fired by the Browns. I mean, he would have been like a baby, but he was alive.
Man, that wasn't the Browns. That was freaking Armadale's idiot self.
Well, Art Modell was the Browns at the time, so.
Man, the Browns have had a good owner since Paul Brown.
Was Paul Brown the owner?
And then wasn't he the founder of the Browns?
I think he sort of founded the Browns.
The team is named after him. The team is literally named after him. The team is literally named. I don't know. I don't know.
He
I
was
don't know.
the co-founder and first coach of the Browns, and so why did Art Modell?
I don't know. I don't have no
I
idea
think
that.
okay, so I think he was co-founder of the Browns with Art Modell, or maybe whoever co-founded it sold their rights to Art Modell or something, and then he lost he got fired via power struggle with Art Modell. So I think he was co-founder with Art, and this is a guess here. Like I mean I don't know, but I think he was co-founder with Art Modell, and then Art Modell like decided he wanted full control of the team and just like ended up firing Paul Brown, which I don't know exactly how that works. I think like I think like Paul Brown would have to agree to step down, but I don't know.
Look. I have nothing. You ain't gonna hear anything nice come out of my mouth, Barmandale. I mean, I hope he. I hope he rests in peace. Obviously, I don't want him like be rolling in his grave. I'm not gonna wish that on anybody. But like, like there is such a black eye, and like I don't think he should be in NFL Hall of Fame because he's done like a lot of stuff that was just really crappy to the Browns organization. And then he like you talk about all these bad owners of Cleveland sports. Art Mandell's up there. Art Mandell was a horrible owner, and he also got rid of the Brownie. Like it was Art Mandell's idea to get rid of Brownie. And they never brought the Brownie back. They should bring Brownie back, honestly. Bring the Brownie back. Now, why did they bring the Brownie back? I don't know why they don't bring it back. Like embrace the Brownie. The Brownie's awesome. God, I hate that dude.
Okay, so looks like Art Modell bought Paul Brown's 15% stake in the Browns, because I think the Browns were struggling in like before the 60s. It looks like like the Browns had that like run in the 40s. And then they had that run in the 60s, but in the 50s they were struggling pretty heavy. And and allegedly, from what I'm reading, it looks like I think Paul Brown decided to sell his stake in the team, and that's where that's where Art Modell comes in. And then after that, after Art Modell came in, then they were kind of like nah, I'm not so sure about you, buddy. And then
Dang. Armandale is a backstabber.
Kind of.
I mean, he is. He literally is. He literally is. Like
this is a fascinating story. I kind of want to make a YouTube video about it.
Yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying, man. This is what I'm saying, man. This is like the level of dysfunction for the Cleveland Browns goes back to the '60s. And it gotten worse since the 90s. This is drama central. The they talk about the Packers being the most storied team in NFL history. No, the most stories of a team in NBA and NFL history is the Browns. Because you could probably have more stories about the Browns than any. There's more drama. You don't get this drama from other teams. Not about football anymore. It sucks being a Browns fan.
So
make that the title of the episode.
So Paul Brown ended up part of the reason he sold his stakes and why the rift developed between him and Art Modell is because the Browns players started turning on Paul Brown. It wasn't just Art Modell. Like looks like Art Modell was just reacting to the Browns players being like, we don't want this guy in here anymore.
Wow. Ooh. That's interesting. That's like
because apparently Paul Brown was like a fucking dictator basically. Which makes sense. I've heard stories about the man.
Well, what's crazy about that is, you talk about players who had those opinions. These are Hall of Famers here we be talking about, right? Because he got fired around the time Otto Graham and Jim Brown were at the end of their career, right? When I'm mistaken.
Yeah, Jim Brown had his radio show, and he was one of the ones who was like talking bad about Paul Brown. And there was Mike McCormack, who is not a Hall of Famer, but he is in the Cleveland Browns Ring of Honor.
Wow.
6-time Pro Bowler, 9-time All-Pro, 2-time NFL champion.
But yeah, I'm about to say, because you gotta realize, like, you're talking about the 50s, 60s, and 70s. Like the Browns had a pedigree back then that they didn't have now. Like you talk about, I was looking at they were talking about the Steelers record for most consecutive seasons of above 500. The Browns one of the teams that they passed. The Browns like number 3 or 4 on that list because the Browns in the 60s, in the 50s and 60s were actually really dominant. You're talking about a team that went to 4 straight NFL championships. You're talking about a team that had one great. Otto Graham revolutionized the quarterback position. You had Otto Graham at the same time. You had Jim Brown. Like these were super teams the Browns had. Like they would lose like 3 or 4 games every 2 or 3 years. Like these Browns teams in the 50s and 60s were the Patriots before the Patriots were the Patriots. Kind of coming down pretty quickly, but like, it's pretty phenomenal actually. So like back then, if you imagine Tom Brady and Gronkowski coming out and saying, "Hey, Bill Belichick's a problem in New England, he needs to be fired." That'd be interesting. That'd be very interesting.
That it would be, but I think we've probably reached about our limit on this episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast.
The Ravens are going to be the Steelers. That's my prediction. Go Tyler Huntley.
I also think the Ravens are going to be the Steelers.
That's what you said.
Like partially, not necessarily because I want that to happen, although I do want it to happen, but just in general because the Steelers are bad. And, like, the Ravens have been playing so fucking hard, they haven't been winning a lot of games, but they've also been playing a lot of tough teams. The Steelers are not a tough team. So I think the Ravens should probably be... I think the Ravens will be the more talented team in this one, regardless of their injuries. And I think they should probably be able to come away with the win. But anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Battle of Ohio podcast. Thank you so much for watching or listening or whatever you're consuming our content on. You can always find more of what I do at Kyle Phelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, my Bengals coverage at ATBnetwork.com/Cincinnati Bengals, and my YouTube channel, which is just Kyle Phelps. Thomas, you can find more of what he does at T_star94 on Twitter and Instagram, and the Thomas J Network on YouTube and TikTok. Go check both of those out because it's good content. But anyway, that's pretty much it for us, and so I'll leave y'all with
oh dang, I want to say it. Can I say it?
What?
I'll leave y'all with a hootie.
Okay.
I'm rooting for y'all.
That's the first time that's happened.
No,
well, not that
like,
you've rooted for us, but that you've said hootie at the end.
Yeah, go Bengals, man. Like honestly, from here on out, I'm rooting for y'all. Definitely, I'm not rooting for my own team on Sunday. I want them to lose. I want to draft it.